Hey VCers, it's Matt on a Sunday night. Hope everyone's doing well. Guess you could say I'm still in a state of confusion and disbelief over the events of yesterday and that horrid devil football game in Waco. But I'm here to continue my ongoing review of Kinks albums in chronological order. So today's episode brings us to 1983 and State of Confusion. This album came out in June of 1983. Now, the Kinks had been making their comeback, getting popular again ever since 1979 in Low Budget. This is kind of where it all plateaued for them. This is where they got pretty huge, probably as big as they'd ever been, with the possible exception of 1964 in America. This album hit number 12 on the charts on Billboard. Single off of this album, Come Dancing, went to number 6, which matched their, I got Otis behind me here, sorry, which matched their top, their best chart performance in America for 45. The, sorry, Otis, come on now. The Tired of Waiting, 1965, also went to number 6. You Really Got Me in All Day and All of the Night only made it to 7 in America, and Lola only to number 9. But, so yeah, and the Kinks, 1983, they really adapted and fit in well with the changing times, probably better than any of the other bands and their contemporaries, certainly better than The Who or any of the solo Beatles or the Rolling Stones at the time. Maybe the Rolling Stones came closest to doing pretty well. But this album had them all over MTV, had them really popular with the high school, college age kids again. I remember seeing the videos for Don't Forget to Dance and Come Dancing on MTV pretty regularly. And so, yeah, this is an album that I had. I bought it when it was new, sold it somewhere along the line when I got rid of some vinyl. Finally got another copy here a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago because I needed it to continue my reviews. And it's a kind of, I don't know about you, but a lot of times movies, music, things like that are so, I don't know, they're just there at the right time in your life. They're kind of the soundtrack to your life at that time, personal, so it's hard to separate from that stuff the the personal meaning that a record or movie or a book has for you, as opposed to just looking at it objectively as a piece of music. So I'm going to try my best to do that. Just when this came out, I would have been 19 or 20. Actually, it would have been 19 in June. But so just really good time in my life. That whole 80 to 84, 85 period was probably the best period of my life. And so a lot of good memories of this album. And kind of tied up with old girlfriend of mine, among other things, but also just some friends and just the times. So, it's kind of, might be a little hard for me to look at this objectively, but I will try. And I had heard this album. I played this. This was one of the records that got played over and over. Had a cassette copy of it, so I remember riding around in the car and listening to it that way. Had the vinyl record, so played it at home and all. But I hadn't heard it. It'd been a long time since I'd heard this album. For the other couple of weeks ago, I remembered all the songs and probably heard Come Dancing on the radio here and there. But so I'm going to try to just go through. Like I said, it did really well, sales wise, chart wise. They were all over MTV. Pretty popular. I saw them in 1983 on this tour in Dallas. That was the second time I saw them of 3 times. Saw them last time in 1985. So this album, though, listening to it again now, I do like it, but just on a song per song basis, song by song basis, I think that I would rate Low Budget and Give the People What They Want a little bit higher, which is not to say this isn't good, but kind of tails off on side two a little bit. So just go through real quick. Um, what else did I want to? Just looking at my notes there, I think I got everything there. So it starts off with the song, title song, "State of Confusion." Like that song a lot. It's really good. It's kind of just a just a good rock and roll song. Second song, "Definite Maybe," probably my favorite song on the album. It's another one that has a lot of uh, personal memories for me tied up in the song. I won't get into all that because it's just obtuse and complex, and don't want to bore you all with that. But Definite Maybe, Labor of Love. So you're going really strong on side one. Labor of Love's third song. That's not as good as the first two, but it's still pretty good. It's kind of the couple that have been together or married for quite a long time, and I guess the romance has gone out of it, and now they just sort of put up with each other more than really excited about each other. Come Dancing, the big hit. Everybody knows that. One of the classic 80s songs. I like it a lot. I remember some friends of mine at the time didn't like it much. You know, these people that like the Kinks, but they didn't like that song too much. I always liked it, and just a lot of nostalgia in there, looking back at things being better than then than they are now. It's actually about Ray. Ray and Dave are, the two only boys in their family, and they're the youngest two kids of the family. They have, I don't remember how many sisters, but they had six or so sisters at least. They had a big family. So this is Ray singing about his older sisters going dancing back in the 50s and coming home late and getting in trouble by their mom and dad and all that good stuff. So it's probably a pretty personal song for him too. Property is a very 80s song. It's got the part in there where they're singing in the background, "Property, Property," then it's sort of that manipulated through a synthesizer voice that sounds just totally 80s. That's something, if they were to record the song today, they wouldn't have done that. And certainly if they recorded it in the 70s or the 60s, they wouldn't have done that. So it's dated in a way. A lot of the 80s stuff, and all apologies to Adam Lee because I love the 80s, and that's when I was, you know, teenager myself and all, great times, and I love a lot of 80s music, but a lot of it also sounds dated or cheesy, some of it in a good way, some of it in a not so good way, in a way that music of the 60s and 70s, even though that sounds dated too, sort of doesn't, if that makes sense. But so there's a little bit too much 80s production on Property, and it's also kind of a slow song, and it's a depressing song because it's about a couple who have divorced or broken up, and so now where there's love, there's just splitting up the property that they owned. So, but for all that, I do like the song mainly because I remember riding around in the car playing this on the cassette, like I said, and remember listening to that song one time in particular. My girlfriend and I were coming back from Dallas for something that we went to. It was nighttime and just driving back, and that was playing, and just so sentimental reasons only I like it. As far as just objectively, it's not a terrible song, but it's not anything to write home about. So the side one, you got pretty solid, good, mainly rock and roll, with the exception of Property. Might be not exactly a ballad, but not a knees up rocker either. But just good songs, State of Confusion, Definite Maybe, Come Dancing, three really good songs. Labor of Love, not as good as those, but not bad. Property, so. I like it for sentimental reasons, but other than that, it's just not a great song. So it's, 3 out of 5, not bad. Side 2 opens with Don't Forget to Dance, another one that was a big MTV heavy rotation hit, and 45, I think. Didn't do as well as Come Dancing chart-wise, but it did show up on the radio. Absolutely love the song. It's a little schmaltzy. It's a little over sentimental, bit Hallmark greeting card and a little glib, but the sentiment is there, I guess, and I'm talking like I don't like it, but I really do like it. It's a good song. And from there, things sort of, the rest of the album, things fall off a little bit. Young Conservatives, not a great piece of music, not a great song. Lyrically, I always liked it just because the 80s were that. There was a lot of that materialism and me, and there was a little passe, a little naive and silly if you people who cared about things other than their 401ks or the designer label on their jeans or their shirt, and so I give Ray credit for sort of pointing that out and saying, in the 60s it seemed like kids wanted to change the world and help out, and in the 80s it seems like they want to go to business school and get an MBA and a BMW. So it all fell on deaf ears, of course, but it's nice of him to make that point. So lyrically, I like the song. Musically, it's fair. Heart of Gold, it's a ballad, not a bad one. Little dull, little good. It's in between. It's yeah, it's all right. Cliches, movie of the world, B movie. Cliches of the world, B movie is a very generic, sort of a hard rock song that's just nothing much there. Album ends with Bernadette, Dave Davies singing. One writer said Dave hits notes that only dogs can hear, and that's true. And it's just kind of a sped up 50s rocker sounding song. Pretty good way to end the album. It's a energetic thing for sure. It's doesn't add up to much, but it's a nice little song. So yeah, just listening to this again, it's I like the album. Of course, it has a lot of great memories for me. But song for song, I don't think it packs quite the punch that Low Budget or Give the People What They Want had. But there are some songs on here that individually I would rate them up there in the 7 to 9 category. Overall, for the album, for nostalgic purposes, I would rate it probably an 8.5. For looking at it just as a collection of music, taking all that out of it, I would rate it probably a 6.5, maybe a 6.75 if I'm allowed to do that. So this is an interesting one for me because the 70s Kinks albums I'd never heard, with the exception that I'd heard some songs off of them here or there. You can see in my old videos I say that I didn't buy them because I didn't think they'd be any good. So a lot of those I bought for the first time here in the last few months. So when I went and listened to those albums, I didn't think they were going to be good, so I guess I had expectations. They ended up being a little better than I thought. They're not terribly good, but they do have their moments. But I went to them with no real expectations other than just listening to the album to see, do I like this or not in 2014. This one, I had to bring all the baggage of having bought this, and this was one of like I said, this was one of the albums that 1983 and that era just got played over and over and over, and it was one of my favorites, and a lot of my friends and my old girlfriend really loved the Kinks in this album, and so heard it all the time. So there's all that bringing into it, and it's hard to separate that. But just like I said, as a collection of songs, it's a pretty good album. It's good to see that they got popular again and got some recognition, long overdue recognition that sort of went away after that initial burst of the British invasion and being ignored through the second half of the 60s and almost all of the 70s there in America. It's a good album. It's not a great album, but it's not that far off from Low Budget and Give the People What They Want. It's just not quite as good, a little bit less. So yeah, that's State of Confusion. We will return. Next one up is Word of Mouth. Mean Mr. Mayo, uh, Joe, has commented that he's surprised he didn't know the Kinks had released this many albums. Well, they did, and there's still several more to go before we get to the end of the run, which I'll have to figure out something else to review then, I guess. But yeah, it's been fun, and I'm going to. I originally, like I said, started out I was just going to review the first album up through say Lola, but then I enjoyed it so much that I just kept on going, and I didn't have those '70s albums, so I figured now would be a good time to buy them and finally hear them. And so, since I've gone that far, I'm gonna go right on through the end here. And State of Confusion by the Kinks. I'm making it sound worse than it is. I think from my review, I do like it. And you know, if you pick this up, I think you'll enjoy quite a, you know, at least half of it. Might enjoy all of it. Have a good Sunday night, everybody, and hope everybody's doing well. Oh, let me show you. Here's the inner sleeves, no big deals, just black back. There's the other side. This is kind of a silly picture there, but it always made me laugh back in the '80s when this was new, and kind of makes me laugh now. Just these two characters over here going no decision, no decision, and Ray's got this befuddled look on his face, which I think is just normal for Ray. Looks like that all the time, pretty much. But I don't know. I always just thought it was kind of funny. And the album, they are still on Arista Records, so no big deal there. Just the Arista label. And that's it. When I did a video yesterday, I showed this at the beginning of the video, and I realized that I forgot to talk about what it was. I went to the garage sale yesterday and I picked up some records for 50 cents each. This is a double album, and so I got that for 50 cents. It's Christmas Magic, a 2-record set, over 30 seasonal favorites by Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians. I don't have a clue who those people are. Haven't had a chance to play this yet. I don't know if it's vocal or just instrumental music. A lot of Christmas songs on the back there. You know, your well, actually, well, there's We Wish You a Merry Christmas, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Night Before Christmas. A lot of stuff on here I've never heard of. Ring Those Christmas Bells, Caroling, Caroling, Oh Hearken Ye, Rise Up Shepherd and Faller, F-O-L-L-E-R, Oh Come All You Faithful, okay. Bright, Bright, The Holly Berries, I Wonder As I Wander, da, 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 and Christmas Magic, The Meaning of Christmas. So there's a lot of stuff on here I've never heard, and I don't know who the Pennsylvanians or Mr. Waring is. Haven't played this yet. I'm going to start playing Christmas music here after Halloween. I'm going to hold off, so I'll put it on, see if it's any good. If it's not, like I got that Doris Day record I showed, played that today, which was, you know, there was some stuff on there that wasn't horrible, and there was some stuff on there that I wasn't really, you know, I enjoyed it enough, I guess. I don't know if I'll play it again. But so, I knew you guys were probably dying to know what that was, so it's Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians, whoever in the world they are. Alright, so there we go. State of Confusion. Hope everybody has a good Sunday, and I will be back with the next in the continuing Kinks Chronicles reviews.